Guys, right now we're swinging around the buildings, and we're getting almost 40 FPS in this scenario, even though sometimes it's hitting above 40 FPS. Hey guys, how's everything going? Today I am going to show you how I play games on my PC, which comprises our Ryzen 3 2200G CPU, with its own built-in Radeon Vega 8 graphics. This APU was launched way back in 2018, and in this video, we will see how it actually performs in 2023. Now for your information, here's the full specification of the PC that I use. We are on the latest version of AMD Adrenalin graphics driver software. We are currently using version 2.3.3.1 of the driver, which is the latest version at the time I am recording this video. Our CPU and iGPU both are running at their base clock speeds with the stock cooler installed. And we have also increased the VRAM of our Vega 8 graphics to 4 GB, since almost every modern AAA titles require at least a minimum of 4 GB VRAM. I am going to use MSI Afterburner to display the FPS, the CPU, and the GPU temperatures. A point to be noted guys, is that we will set the in-game resolution to 1440 by 900 for all the 10 games that we will be testing. As this is the maximum display output of my monitor. It comes with a standard 60 Hz refresh rate, so all the games will be locked at 60 FPS, with VSync enabled, to avoid any screen tearing issues. Don't worry guys, I will show all the in-game graphical settings of all the 10 games that we will be testing. For your kind note, I will be showing the uncut footage of all the 10 games that I've tested, so in order to save time and make the video easier, I fast-forwarded some footage to show the FPS more accurately. Also, I've disabled the wallpaper engine completely for the best gaming experience. Also remember guys, that I will test the 10 games with the settings that I personally use. Hence, you can always change them if you want according to your priority. And now, let us go to our games one by one. On the first spot, we have Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. As you can see, we are running this game at medium preset, with depth of field set to medium, and motion blur set to 10, film grain is set to 0, and upscaling is set to IGTI with dynamic resolution to 60. As you can see guys, right now we're swinging around the buildings, and we're getting almost 40 FPS in this scenario, even though sometimes it's hitting above 40 FPS. And during combats, the game provides from 30 to 50 FPS, depending upon the intensity of the scene. But remember guys, that both this game and its prequel stutter sometimes, especially during the initial period after you boot the game, since it needs to compile all the shaders first, but it becomes stable in almost 3 minutes after entering the game. So yeah, Spider-Man Miles Morales is playable with this Ryzen APU. Secondly, here we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt X-Gen version. We are using DirectX 12 here, just because of the dynamic resolution scaling feature, that is only available on DX12. The game is set to all medium settings, except for shadows and grass density set to low. Anti-aliasing is disabled, with dynamic resolution turned on. Reflections is set to low, motion blur is enabled and set to 10. Now guys, we are currently getting between 30 and 34 FPS, sometimes it's even dropping below 30, just because it is still compiling the shaders right now. Also, we're inside Novigard, which is a huge place full of NPCs. Yes, it is a very resource-intensive scenario. But if we go outside from this place, as you can see, we're getting near 40 FPS, even sometimes above 40. So yeah, Witcher 3 is playable, but it drops frames in crowds and more denser areas as we have just seen right now. I hope that CD Projekt Red optimizes the game a little bit more in near future. But you can still play the game on this device, with a console-like experience if you want. Next, we have Devil May Cry 5. We have set everything to medium, and only the volumetric lighting to low, with TAA enabled, and rest of the settings we've turned on, including the motion blur and resolution scaling set to 100%, and as you can see here, with these in-game settings, we're getting between 45 to 50 FPS. Sometimes you can get more than 50 FPS and even near 60 in just some less intensive areas. Yeah, it is playable with these settings. You can also set the resolution scaling to 70 or 80% to fetch more FPS with the same in-game settings. But even though, you can still have a fun time playing this game on this APU machine. Number 4, Kana Bridge of Spirits. Here we are using DirectX 11, with motion blur enabled. We are using the medium graphics preset, with dynamic resolution scaling enabled and set to 60. We are getting above 40 FPS right now. It kinda hops around the 40 to 45 FPS mark, but in some intensive areas and heavy fight scenes, it drops below 40, but remains above 30 FPS. So if you want, you can change a few settings like texture quality to high, and lock it to 30 FPS, or else, you can play like this too. On the 5th spot, we have God of War 2018. Unfortunately, we cannot use full screen mode in this game, so we're sticking with the borderless display here. The FPS is capped at 40, with motion blur set to 10 and film grain disabled. FSR is disabled and render scaling is set to 60%. We are using the original settings, except for the atmospheric and shadows, which are set to low. Guys, you can see that we're actually not getting a constant 40 FPS, so you may cap the frames to 30 if you want. However, this adds a slight smoothness to the game, as we are getting around 34 to 36 FPS most of the time. I've also tried the low preset with 50% render scale, but it was not looking that good graphics-wise and was still unable to hold the 40 frames range either most of the time. So yeah, you can really have a great time with it. However, the cutscenes always plays at 30 FPS, even below that, but that would not be an issue. Also, there are several frame dips in some intensive areas, even though God of War is playable with these settings. And you will totally enjoy the game playing on this Ryzen system. Next, we have Stray. We are at pure medium settings, and motion blur is set to max. And I was quite shocked by seeing the FPS counter. We are getting around 30 FPS, and sometimes it's dropping below 30 FPS too. But I never felt that before I even restarted my PC, but still no good luck at all. It's probably due to the motion blur, for which I never felt that I was playing this at a 30-ish FPS, without realizing it for this long. But yeah guys, it is still a playable experience. On the other hand, what I did was I changed the resolution scaling from 100% to 50% to bump up the FPS up to 60, and set the motion blur to 0. I also changed the texture and the mesh quality to high, just because changing it to medium was not affecting the FPS at all. And after that, as you can see, I am getting 50 plus FPS most of the time, even it sometimes touches the 60 FPS mark. However, I was unable to achieve a constant 60 FPS, even if I lower some of the settings to low. So yeah, it's again depend upon your requirements, that in which settings you want to play. Hence, Stray is completely a playable title on this Ryzen APU. Number 7, here we have Raji and Ancient Epic. We are using the DirectX 11 API, which you can choose while launching the game. We have FSR set to quality, and all the in-game settings to medium, and with this, we are getting near 50 FPS, even more than 50 inches various areas like this one. As you can see guys, we're touching the 60 FPS mark in this fight. You may try to set the FSR to balance to keep it near 60 most of the time, or you can also tone down some heavy graphical settings, like shadows and foliage, but it gives a balanced experience of fidelity and performance with these settings. Okay, so I thought to add a racing game to our list. We have Need for Speed Heat. We are at the medium preset here. Resolution scaling is set to 80%, with no motion blur enabled. And we're getting an average between 40 and 42 FPS. Yeah, I know, racing games are meant to be played at least at a constant 60 FPS. So in this case, you can always reduce the resolution scale further, and even some of the graphical settings to low. Also guys, this game has some issue, which occurs in the very first time you boot the game after its installation. So to fix this, you need to play the game for at least 3 to 5 minutes, irrespective of the lags and stutters. After that, just close and relaunch the game, and that stuttering issue will be gone once the shaders are compiled properly. But yeah, you can play NFS Heat pretty easily on this system. On the 9th spot, we have a fighting game, which is Mortal Kombat 11. We are here at the full medium preset but with anti-aliasing disabled, and motion blur turned on. I've also turned off all kinds of 60 FPS cinematics and upscaling settings. This game doesn't allow us to access its graphical settings once we enter into a match, so let me fast forward you again directly to the match. And here we go guys, this game is giving us around 50 FPS on average. Yeah, fighting games should also be played at a steady 60 FPS, as it slows down the game's speed with the drops of its FPS. And that's the reason why I've enabled motion blur here. It makes the gameplay a lot smoother, and makes you almost feel that you're playing at a steady 60 FPS. Also, I use these same settings in Injustice 2, and that game also provides me a similar performance. Mortal Kombat 11 has Fidelity CAS, so if you want to get more performance, then you can set Fidelity CAS turned on. So yep guys, you can play Mortal Kombat 11 on this machine. Now last but not the least, here we have Resident Evil 3 Remake. As you can see here, I have set FSR to quality, and pretty much everything to high, except volumetric lighting to low, and shadows to minimum. I've turned off anti-aliasing, since it makes the game look blurry, especially the TAA ones. But if you don't want any jagged lines in the game, then you can always set anti-aliasing to TAA for that. Now with these settings, we're getting a constant 60 FPS in any closed area and inside any room or building. However, as you go outside, you can see that we are getting around 50 to 55 FPS. Even with various lighting effects, the game is giving us more than 50 FPS. Yeah, it rarely drops down to 40 FPS, even in huge intensive areas like this one. But yeah, this game looks and performs absolutely gorgeous with this system. So finally, after testing all those games, we all can agree that this Ryzen 3 2200G APU with onboard Vega graphics is still a beast. Considering its age, it's been almost 5 years since its arrival in the market. I've tried to test the most resource-intensive games that I currently have in my Steam library. I hope that we could play more resource-hungry games on this APU, like Gotham Knights, Elden Ring, etc. And if you are planning to build your new system with Ryzen 3 2200G in 2023, then I would suggest you to buy Ryzen 3 3200G instead of 2200G, as it has a little bit more CPU power, and also, it supports Windows 11, which Ryzen 3 2200G doesn't. You can easily pair it with a B450 motherboard. However, if you want to spend more money, then I would highly recommend you to get a Ryzen 5 5600G with a B550 motherboard. You will get way more CPU and GPU horsepower with this one, as it has both higher CPU and GPU clock speeds with better architecture. I hope AMD begins to launch their RDNA 3 APUs this year very soon. Also guys, if you're currently using any Ryzen APU for gaming, and want to increase the VRAM of its Vega iGPU, then you can click on this video for that. And with that being said, thank you so much guys for watching our video. Wishing you all a great day ahead. And I will see you in this video, and in the next